You're listening to the Renegade Blitz, the best podcast for Steelers fans by Steelers fans. Follow us on Twitter at Renegade Blitz, at RBlitzPod, and at Blitz Videos. Read articles on RenegadeBlitz.com, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app.
Curious, Brandon, because you are the elder statesman, not by much, of course. What were you doing in 1989?
I was 2. I was 2
You were
years
2.
old.
Do you remember what you were doing at any point the last time the Steelers got blown out like this? Because this was the worst loss the Steelers ever had since 1989.
Yeah, this is the worst. This is the worst loss, basically, in all of our lifetimes that we can vividly remember it. It was terrible all the way around. And now that you see that we are like the Steelers, the fans, everybody, let's stop that stir's going to the Super Bowl fantasy. It ain't happening because you saw a real Super Bowl team capable of winning the Super Bowl out there. And keep in mind that they didn't have most of their secondary. Mm-hmm. Edmonds was out, and a couple other people were out. They had problems at receiver. They had a couple receivers out. They would have ran up 55 points. And let's get to the firing range. Number one, Deontay Johnson, shut the hell up. You need to sit your ass down. Get on a jugs machine. Start trying to catch balls. Then go see a sports psychologist and get your head right. All right, because you said the fans are like this. Ryan Clark, why don't you come and play? I was like, no. You see, this has now been a trend. Now these former Steelers are now talking about him. You should be embarrassed. Number 2, Claypool, what the hell are you doing? I don't even know where you were last. What? Yeah, one catch. What are you there for? You should have seen. I told you we should have traded him when we had the chance. It was just no heart, no desire. Oh yes. It's been a couple weeks since I got into this. This dude needs Mr. Bush. He can't play here. Take that off, Michael Pettigrew Tomlin, and we go take his hat off and give Mark Robinson a hat. Because the only people that I saw give heart out there at all yesterday was the rookies.
Yeah,
the rookies defined the Steeler way more than these veterans do. I mean, I know Cam Hayward was hurt.
Yeah, and he played. He was running down the field and stuff and everything, making tackles downfield. But you could count like on just 2 hands like players that like look at least decent. You know, I mean, there was a lot. It was a terrible performance. So like a lot of players, played really bad. I mean, you pretty much said everything. Like Deontay Johnson, he makes $18 million per year to catch the ball, and he's still having these drop issues. I mean, and we like before the season when we were talking when he wanted a new contract, I think we all agreed that like he wasn't worth like the $20 million that he wanted per year. And the Steelers they kind of caved in. They didn't give him $20 million, but they gave him like $18 million.
I got checked by Chris Carter on this podcast about giving him $16 million.
Yeah. And like I said during the game, like he's so inconsistent. It's like it's mind blocking. Like he's a good route runner. He gets open, but then he has like these drops that it just it kills drives and everything. And then Pickens right now he's the true wide receiver 1 for them right now.
Yes, he's the dog.
Yeah,
I love how he dog walked. I don't know who he dog walked. He dog walked somebody. That was the only time somebody did some dog walking for the Steelers.
Yeah,
he made a catch straight out of Madden. Like, whenever you try that in-air collision crap,
yeah,
he made that straight out of a mid-2000s Madden game, and it was impressive to see. That guy is whatever we hyped him up to be. He really is him. Granted, this was a secondary that at least statistically is the best in the NFL, and in terms of who they have out there at the moment, not the best, because Trey White's not active right now. But regardless, he went out there and did something. And yes, I do wholeheartedly agree with you guys. It was the rookies. And maybe whenever they managed to get to do something out there, they did get an interception from Levi Wallace, who also, I guess, all things considered, I mean, that was burnt toast, burnt chicken, that entire secondary, that entire day. But yeah, in terms of everything, there was not a lot of, there was not, I want to say there was a lack of effort. It seemed at also times, and then there was just a team that was just primarily outclassed.
Yeah,
In every
this is
sense of the word.
yeah, this is not a good like yeah, this is a 2 to 3 year rebuild.
Yeah.
This is not a year thing. And yesterday, it's not a year. You get TJ Watt back. Pickett develops, takes that quantum leap in year 2. Get a couple things on the offensive line. Get a high draft pick for the offense. You need way more than that. You need more depth. You need more heart. You need to change the culture. And then another thing. What is Najee Harris? Is he hurt or is he just a bust? That's a 1-year bust.
I think he's hurt. But here's the thing: in terms of you talk about the rookies, at least in what he shows in the media, you have to keep that guy around because he has the right mindset. Right now, he's hurt.
Yeah. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
You're playing running back hurt. Well, Liz Frank with a running back. That's nothing you should be playing with
a running back.
I'm not giving him the Devin Bush treatment yet, but that dude he needs to go like now. You need Tomlin. You need to set a message.
Yeah, I noticed during the game.
You will set a message saying, look, this is not tolerated. I don't care what your draft status is or any of that. Top 10 pick, you gone. Like,
yeah. I noticed during the game that Najee did look like he was limping a little bit. Even Ty, you mentioned the Pittsburgh photographer Ed Thompson said that he's been limping and he's hurt and everything. So yeah, like I mean, if he's hurt, like you do give him a pass, and I think he is. But I mean, also the offense line's not very good at run blocking. For some, like they're good at pass blocking, but they're not good at run blocking. But
yeah.
I mean,
it's been that type of way since really Todd Haley went in there, and you had a once in a generation running back in Le'Veon Bell. No matter how you feel about his exit from this team, he's a once in a generation back. You'll never get another Le'Veon Bell. As much as we wish that it was Najee Harris, he's just not him. And you have to accept that. Yeah. And furthermore, if this is a bad running line, then why when Jaylen Warren is able to make something out there? You just need guys that right now that are hungry. And the question is with him, with this fan base, I just don't know how long a coach can go through this. Tomlin can probably survive a 2 to 3 year rebuild off the basis of management. And in the end, that's all that matters, I guess, when it comes to a guy like him. But then when you have a tweet from Cam Hayward, he claims butt tweeting like that. But look, there's a lot of tweets that I see as a person that I want to retweet. And you want to know why I don't do it? And there's a lot of things that I want to put on Facebook, but I can't do it. You want to know why I can't do it? Because I think of Fred McLeod, rest in peace, looking at my Twitter feed back whenever I used to be a little bit of a wild boy out there and saying like, yo, you got to clean that up. You gotta look at it like this. And people are giving an opportunity at any point for a story. And you can't do that. Cam, you know better.
Yeah.
You checked the former quarterback of this franchise that
I didn't check all the Twitter, but what was the tweet?
Well, I don't have a word, but the first part, it was a pretty long tweet. So the first part was bashing Tomlin, saying that like he only had never had a losing season because of Ben. And I think the guy called him like a clown and fraud or something like that. But the second half of the tweet said that that Hayward was running down the field and making tackles, and it was because the linebackers weren't doing their job.
They weren't.
He's right about that. Yeah. They were not. If I have my defensive lineman who's been a veteran for 10 plus years running down running backs for the Buffalo Bills. As much as Greg Tom said, highlights these guys, and they're actually some pretty good. They're not supposed to do that. That's a team that runs for the heck of it. They want to pass the ball.
So I was thinking maybe he missed the first half of the tweet, but I'll take his word that it was a retweet or whatever.
Sam Hayward is too smart. And too intelligent.
You can hit
to be
retweet. You can hit
right,
quote tweet. This isn't 2015.
Yeah, I did see someone say that like he wasn't even added.
If he likes it, that's a different thing because you can't do that. With retweet, you have an opportunity to choose. And as much as I like to say that I was born yesterday for him, I'm not.
Bro,
that's a good point. When you hit the retweet, you have to like confirm, but a like it just goes.
They'll even sometimes for news articles tell you, yo, you should really look at this, Chief.
But you gotta be smarter than that. But let's go back to like the effort. This team's soft. They just not only suck, but they're soft. No effort, no heart. And it's bad when you're, I don't know what Arthur Noulette's name on the depth chart. He's like
number 16?
Fifth? Number 5? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Slot corner.
Slot corner. He's going in other people. So why isn't Cam Hayward saying nothing? Why isn't Minka saying nothing?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely.
We all know who he's talking about.
Yeah, I mean, they need.
We all know who he's talking about.
Again, someone's, they need to have like a meeting or so, like be like, oh, like this is unacceptable. 38-3 loss to the Bills. I mean, like it's unprecedented, really, since 1989. I mean, that's before I was born, before Ty was born a year or two, Brandon. So it's definitely a changing of the times in Pittsburgh right now. And, it looks like it's going to be Tomlin's first losing season, but, it was bound to happen. Like you said, Brandon, like they were going to bottom out eventually. But, like these people saying that, like, Tomlin should be fired and everything like that's not going to happen. I mean, because like Cowher had 2 straight losing seasons in 1998 and 1999. And, I think he got his contract renewed or something, or something like that. But, like maybe if Tomlin has 3 straight losing seasons, that's kind of different. But if it's just 1 and even 2, really, I think he's going to stay.
Because this is a 2-year thing, man. This is not a year quick fix. Because when you try to do quick fix and do stuff half-ass, this is what you get. And this is how your team bottoms out like they're doing right now. You have to build that back up, get a whole new line. I don't care what the metrics say. That line is not good. Yeah. They upgrades in most spots. You're going to have to find depth you can find that. I don't know the way they can find another receiver with some heart. Because hopefully Calvin Austin's pans out. But this is, like, you need a new middle linebacker because you need at least try Mark Robinson. He did something in preseason. He has some dog in him. I was like, I don't know what the hell they was thinking. But
so if where they're going, they're heading right now, they're projected for a top 5 pick. And there's a lot of good options in this draft. Like, I don't know, Brandon, you follow college football pretty closely. Who would you go with? Hypothetically, if they were like the number 2, 3, or
Olu Fashanu, left tackle for Penn State. He's playing like one of the best linemen. I'm not trying to but he's Kelly, because I see him the most. He's playing like the best college football, best left tackle in college football this year.
Is he projected to go in top 10?
Yeah, he's risen up draft boards.
Okay, and I know Will Anderson
unless he was the first round pick, because I have to cover this team for a living, and I do all that cover.
Yeah, Will Anderson from Alabama's outside linebacker, right there, edge rusher. He's another guy that's in the top 5. And then you have the quarterbacks, C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young, but they just picked Pickett last year in the first round, so I can't see them really doing that quarterback and back. What would you say, Brandon? The Cardinals did it before.
They did it right. They picked
Josh Rosen and then Kyler Murray.
Yeah,
I don't know. You think the Steelers would do that?
I'd like to believe that Kenny Pickett is not Josh Rosen.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
no, that's a gross misappropriation of quarterback funding, and you can argue sometimes with Murray himself, but
Yeah, I mean,
there's a lot of things that they need to do.
Yeah,
I think they can't go out here with, no matter what in this, they have to make sure they trade back and get two things in this draft: a left tackle and a middle linebacker in the first 2 rounds. Preferably, yes. Preferably, they need to trade back where some team will allow them to get an MLB and a left tackle in the first round, and maybe some other picks.
They can trade back. You get an extra pick. They only have 5 picks this year.
They need more.
They need more. That's what I mean. You can trade up an extra couple. You can trade back a couple spots and get a couple in the middle rounds, and then we'll see. And then you get your middle linebacker. You get your corner. Then you try to get a corner too. You need to shut down, at least in the first 2 rounds. You got to try to get one, because
you got to ignore your history at this point, and this is what a perfect time for an organization to turn a new leaf when it comes to corners, because they really need it right now. I want to say Kello could be that guy, but he can't be on the shelf. They have nothing right now. They have nothing back there that, aside from Minkah Fitzpatrick, that gives me genuine confidence in it. But by the time this team competes again with Minkah Fitzpatrick, he's going to be 2 years older, and then you're going to have to deal with whatever comes from that. Yeah. So
you need a corner, and you need another corner, and please get, you got to just know how to scout. If you want to spend money in free agency, if you're going to do it, don't spend $8 million for a lineman. Spend 10, 12. Yeah. Go for the best lineman you could get. I don't know what the cap situation is for the Steelers, Chris, but you probably know better than I do.
For this year, I think they have a lot. They have a lot of cap space.
They still got a ton of money. They got a ton of money, and they got stuff that can be moved. Probably moves they can make in the off season. Bush is walking, no question.
Yeah. He ain't making that much money.
Yeah, and Pickett's still on his rookie contract, so you don't have Ben eating up a ton of salary cap space. But
he couldn't do a Drew Brees solid for this team on the way out, but that's okay. What else? They're gonna, if they can find a cap casualty cut right now for Chase Claypool, I'd gladly take it.
Claypool ain't working.
At this point, I'd take it. Wide receiver, if they can find a buyer for Deontay Johnson, and they can just eat that dead cap hit at this point. They need to, there needs to be a refreshment with it, because I cannot take this with Deontay Johnson and with this toe tapping stuff, that he'll make the catch, but he can't get a foot down. There's ring awareness and there's sideline awareness. This guy doesn't have it right now, and I don't know what to say, because I want to give this guy the benefit of the doubt. But if you can't do that, it's one thing. Fine. If you can't find the sideline when it hits your hands inside the field of play, you got to come down with it.
Yeah,
you got to do that.
The one that really got
let's look at the positives right now before everyone loses their absolute minds right now. Mm-hmm. Kenny Pickett, if he's not an NFL quarterback, an NFL starter in the future, you can at least say that he's a gamer a la Mason Rudolph before concussions.
Well, I think he's a starter, but is he going to be elite? I don't think he will.
I think he could be as far as I'm concerned, Fitzpatrick would be pretty fine for my career.
Huh?
A Fitzpatrick Cousins would be pretty fine for my career in anything, but that's just me.
Yeah, but Fitzpatrick, but he will still be the fourth best quarterback in your division next year and the next year and the next year.
I don't know, man. If he can be anything like Garoppolo, even with that, I'll take that right now.
Yeah, but that's still the fourth best quarterback in the division.
If it's a cheap at this point, you need to start thinking of a new way and trying to get things done in the NFL, because if there's one thing the Steelers need, it's innovation. Innovation really could help out this franchise above everything.
This bald-headed ass needs to go up the road too. Canada Dry. Like, tired of him. Like, all these, they want to do jet sweeps. Like, throwing it third down.
This isn't North Hills going up against Shaler. I mean, come on. Jet sweeps out the wazoo on both sides, and it worked. But here's the thing: they had a reliable running game, both sides, that could, or at least a runner that can do something to throw off the heat.
I'm getting tired of this crap, man. Because to throw the ball past the damn sticks. How about that on third down? I'm getting tired. And what the hell was Tomlin thinking? Kicking field goal down, losing
3 in the second quarter.
Yeah, and the one that's by halftime and then at the end of the third.
Yeah.
Oh, we're
anyway.
Like, you know what? And this is how I know Tomlin knows this team sucks. You just look at his press conference. He's like, he has that looks like, my team is some butt.
Yeah.
My team's ass. Like,
you know why? We talked about they missed on a lot of draft picks over the last couple of years.
And who's making ultimately having these roster decisions now? It's Tomlin. It's all Tomlin's team.
Yeah.
This is his.
It's a collective effort, they always say. I mean, Colbert had some. I mean, look, they traded up for Devin Bush. Edmonds is okay, but that's who they had in 2018. And then they didn't have a first-round pick in 2020, so they had Claypool in the second round, which is looking not so great right now. And then Najee Harris is debatable right now. Kendrick Green in the third round I thought was really bad. I mean, you want to hit on your first 3 picks, and they thought Kendrick Green was going to be like Pouncey's replacement.
Yeah, they gave him his number, for the love of God.
Yeah, who the hell does that? What type of thing? And then Freiermuth looks great, but
are a little
long term.
I hope this is his third one in the last 2 seasons, so I hope he's all right. Like, because he's a good. I like Freiermuth. They might have arguably should have went with Humphrey, the center that we always talk about, because they definitely could have used offensive linemen up there up front. Like how can you you got Najee Harris in the first round, and you didn't even give him an O-line for him. So I know it's debatable if maybe Harris is not it and everything. I was expecting him to be kind of like Barkley, but it hasn't even been that case yet.
Even Barkley had a line in New York.
Yeah. I mean, people thought Barkley was done, and look at him now. He's the best running back in the league right now.
You can never count guys out. You can never count anyone out in this league, because on any given Sunday, everyone can either become a baller, regain their baller status, or lose it all. There's nothing you can do about this. In the end, you play the game and you find out. But right now, as we're finding out at this moment, as this team is presently constructed and presently with this mindset and presently with this game plan, it's not enough. We're still very young into this season. The Steelers are only 1-4. Can they get on one of those classic, you thought we were done, we're back up runs? Absolutely.
No.
But it's not going to happen.
No.
I don't think it's going to happen.
No.
I wanted to finish with that.
You can't do that. You had Ben. You had Hall of Fame talent. These Steelers, you guys, this is what pisses me off about Steeler fans. You guys
I want to have hope that this team, because that's all I got right now, man. Give me something.
This is different, bro. There ain't nothing to hope. You saw what happened yesterday.
Yeah.
This is like a varsity team playing against a JV team.
Yeah. That's a good point. The way and they only had one quarterback hit on Josh Allen, no sacks, and the quarterback hit came from Fitzpatrick, and it was on that 98-yard touchdown pass. So it was like Josh Allen was dealing with, or he was playing 7-on-7 out there. It was pretty crazy. And like we mentioned on the podcast before, Malik Reed, who's replacing T.J. Watt, is giving them absolutely nothing. Alex Highsmith, he didn't really, Greg mentioned that matchup, but the thing was against Dawkins, I think, the left tackle for the Bills. He pretty much shut out Alex Highsmith. So they're just really not getting any, like they're missing TJ Watt. But I mean, how do you think like one player to be out and them to look this bad is pretty crazy?
It takes one player that hides a lot of stuff. But speaking of TJ Watt, would you hold him back for the rest of the year? I would. And if you're going to be 1-7, you going to risk a prime year of his career over just to go 5-12.
No, I wouldn't. If anyone of his stature, if Minka has to miss any point of time for anything, I'd shut him down at the first opportunity I get at this moment. At this moment, I would say, yeah, shut him down. But he had a knee issue of something that we kind of glossed over because it happened in a preseason game and everyone said it was fine. He had an arthroscopic knee surgery. Fortunately, it wasn't the pec. It was something else that was named as a problem.
Yeah, but you still got the arthroscopic knee surgery and the pec. So is it worth it him playing him?
No,
because he's like, look.
What do you want to do? But here's the counter situation with this. They have the high end talent to make a 1-year rebuild. Even the Bengals had Bates and Bell in the back there. They had some guys back there. They just had to wait for everything else to grow up. For lack of a better term.
Yeah, but it's gonna take more than 1 year.
Yeah,
this ain't no quick thing. Trust me. It's worse than you think.
Yeah,
it's worse than you think. I am the reporter for the team of the group. They are worse than you think.
Well, we listed like all the needs they need for the draft picks and everything, and I agree with Brandon. It's going to be like 2 to 3 years, but those top 5 picks, if you could get a really good player, they could change a team or really help a team. Look at Jamar Chase with the Bengals. Sauce Gardner right now with the Jets is doing really well for them. So like, if they do get in the top 5, I hope they hit a home run pretty much because that could help them, not have the rebuild as long, longer than it could be.
Yeah, you need 2 strong draft, at least 2 strong. Your third, if you really want 3, if you really want to get back to where you need to go. This ain't no one draft type situation, Ty. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
I know. I'm trying to toe the fence because when you look at all that money they put in the defense, and I'd like to say this right now, when you take a look at the ages, what is TJ Watt gonna be in 2 to 3 years?
How old is he?
What
now?
is Minka Fitzpatrick gonna be in 2 to 3 years? This is what you do in this situation. Yes, this offense is very young and developing, but I think in the end, it was just the wrong guys. They looked good for a bit, but in the end, it was the wrong guys. That's the one thing. You can even look at it with, you're gonna hate me for saying this. Once upon a time, it was Bush. You can even argue that when you look at it, I think Sutton could be something potentially. But you look at it and you go, man, when you have good corners, you hold on to them, because when you can't draft them, when you can't necessarily draft them or at least have the track record for it, it doesn't exactly look good.
Yeah, like a Sutton is like, he's a good 3.
He's okay.
He ain't no 1.
I think they wanted to see if he could turn into a 1 or a 2, and it's just not the thing. If you can't be playing tweener. You can't be caught in between. That's the moral of the story with the Steelers right now, this entire organization. When you're caught in between, this is what happens. For years, to use a an analogy with the hats that we both have on, Brandon. You have the Bulls, I have the Grizzlies. They were caught in between. Both of these franchises. The Bulls are kind of still caught in between, arguably. But at least the Grizzlies have Ja Morant. Once upon a time, the Bulls had Derrick Rose, but for years, they were in between that. Until you got a guy that you can put everything around. You can't be in between. That's how you become the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, they need an elite cornerback. I mean, I tweeted like on last Sunday after the Steelers lost to the Jets. I was like, man, I wish Sauce Gardner was with the Steelers because I really like him as a player. Like, I like tall corners, and like the way he plays is just like he's shutting down people right now. So like, that's a real big position that they need a cornerback, and they haven't drafted it well for years either. And Joe Hayden was pretty good there for a while, but he got older, and like now their cornerbacks are like they're okay. Like there's no. I don't even know if they got maybe a number 2 on there, but they have no number 1 right now.
Yeah, and plus another thing is you just need number 1, you need a new offensive line, a better offensive line, experienced offensive line coach that's coached in the NFL for like at least 5 to 10 years, that knows how to cultivate a system and go and get this new offensive coordinator who's been in the NFL. No more of these in-house hirings. Like, and then what about this Waddle, the assistant GM? Because Omar Khan is not a football guy. He is a business guy. So what is his track record in finding talent? Because he's going to be the main guy moving forward after Colbert retires to pick up the talent here.
Well, he came from the Eagles. That's his background.
Wait, from what year to what year?
He was there when they won it all.
Okay.
Yeah. So
let's take a look at that Eagles team. Primarily, you had Carson Wentz, who was at the time a young quarterback and MVP level.
Mm-hmm.
Most of that team was bought off of free agency acquisitions. Dustin Jeffrey, free agency. There were some pieces in there. You had Fletcher Cox, you had Brandon Graham. There were some draftable pieces, but everyone primarily looks at that and goes, that was a team that was primarily made free agency, which there's no issue with that at all.
Matter of fact, I think that the way, if you want to, you got to be smart and get the right free agents.
You got to
be better at free agency. You got to
look into this team's got to find something with it. Is it heart and grit? Is it analytics? I don't know what this team runs. Frankly, I don't think any football front office really runs off of analytics to begin with, but that's just me thinking out loud. It's got to be when you look in these guys in the draft process, you got to look them in the eye and say, what's your texture worth, man? When you came up against adversity, because as you come up in this league, there's teetering moments in everyone's career. Actually, this can go with all of us, even with us. There's moments in this career where you were facing adversity, and what did you do? Did you fold up or did you keep on moving? I don't really know what goes into this, but it feels like something that's broken from even the draft process, because how are guys coming into this league like Claypool experiencing success off the jump, and then when trouble happens, because when you think about it, this team's really been in trouble since around week 13 of 2020.
Yeah,
that's when paradise flipped for this entire organization, when you think of it.
And the team who did it was the Washington football team of all teams.
Yeah, and the Steelers.
You said that this team was worse at a football team like game. Yeah. Correct?
And the Steelers
you said it in an off-air conversation. I hate to bring it up, but that's a tough thing to say about anyone, because, man, again, I hate that. I hate putting that for a Washington franchise ran by that guy, but it wasn't exactly the best. it wasn't exactly the best performance out there.
Well, yeah, it's like really that, but really the team started to shift. I'd say right around when AB got hit by Montez Burke, because he's never been the same. The egos and the cancer.
I think it got louder.
Started to fester in like around 2016, and that's when they started really drafting terribly. Their draft was starting to downturn.
Yeah, Artie Burns, they hit on TJ Watt, and then Terrell Edmonds was kind of like okay, 2018.
Smith-Schuster had
he had
a good time. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was Charles Dickens, basically. But I mean, there's a lot that you can. There's a lot that you can look at this team, and you can wonder what went wrong. There's so many turning points in this franchise that you can go back to. Really, you can. I'm pretty sure there's probably someone that's trying to put a conspiracy theory to go all the way back to 2014 or something like that. Whatever you want to do, but the fact is, right now, there's something that's fundamentally wrong with this team right now. And you can agree with that because you don't lose 38-3 in this league. You don't do that.
The Steelers actually they have the worst point differential in the league. They're minus 51 right now, and the Commanders are second worst. So when we have that off-air conversation, I think I said the Steelers were on the Commanders level now, and these stats are like supporting that too. Like they're both the top 5 draft picks if the season were to end today.
What do we want to put as the positives to try to wrap this up on some good level? Pickett looked like an NFL quarterback. You like some of the fire from this team. James Daniels stood up for his quarterback, and you want to know something? With that's always a positive, no matter how ticky-tacky everyone believes that him being dirty is.
Hey, you know what? He's probably like the only person on that line I keep.
And even then, it hasn't exactly been perfect with him.
He ain't perfect, but if you can stand up for your quarterback, you got that dog in you. That's half the battle for me. That's
Ryan Clark mentioned that Kenny Pickett was the only guy that really showed any heart, and he was the only guy that could play on that Steelers Super Bowl 2008 team. So I thought that was interesting. There was a couple other guys that did show hard, like
that Liao.
Yeah, Liao played well. Pickens,
I like him.
You could say maybe Jalen Warren. Yeah, maybe that's it, man. I'm trying to think of.
Yeah, like you got all the rookies. The rookies and that alignment is like the 5 is.
Well, Hayward played his best. He showed heart at least.
Yeah, some people, but all I know is Devin Bush need to find his life's work, life's calling, because being an NFL linebacker ain't it. I'm sorry.
Also, what's the roughing the passer penalty in this league?
Yeah, I heard.
Tell me what a roughing the passer penalty is in this league, and I'll say right now, in the same tenor as Ron Burgundy, I don't believe you. I really don't know what that is in this league as it's going on right now as we record this podcast.
Yeah.
You can take a look at it for the Chiefs Raiders game, but that's another thing that we can ask about. So to wrap this podcast up, I decided to put a poll out here because everybody and their mother wants to have an opinion on who should go. And of course, everyone wants to look at the head, Mike Tomlin. So I said this. So if the Steelers were to admit defeat and tank, how many losing seasons would you take with Mike Tomlin as HC? At this point, we'll have this poll completely finished by the time we have our preview podcast when we get someone for the Bucs. 55% said 1 to 2. 16% said 2 to 3. 10% at this moment said 3+. 19%, which is in second place, said none. Now, hypothetically, I will look at it like this. This is a Steelers franchise for all intents and purposes. Is spoiled, is petty, it is entitled. So none could also be a generalist term in terms of I can't accept losing, period. I will give that the benefit of the doubt. So with you guys, realistically, what would you be like, this is what comes with the game?
2 seasons.
I'd say 3, just because they Cowher, when he had 2 straight losing seasons, they kept him around and it paid off. You ended up winning the Super Bowl, and Tomlin, he has 1 Super Bowl also, and he never had a losing season until now. So I mean, they'll give him 1 at least, and then or 2, I think. But 3 if they have 3 losing straight losing, like it might be time to part ways. Then I think.
Yeah,
I think I want to say this right now. I think 2 would be probably the access point, because, Chris, I'm putting it to you like this. There's nothing ever fair in this life, and especially in this league. And anyone and everyone they can attempt to replace. The question is, will it work out for a team in the end? I will say this. I will understand 2 just straight bad seasons, and I'm counting one of those seasons as right now, in which this team is bad. That third season, for me to accept the third losing season, I guess, in a way, there has to be, at one point, this team had to be in those games. It can't be something like this where it's 38-3 primarily. It has to be they came into the fourth quarter or in overtime, they had a fighting chance. It has to be fighting chances to really accept a 3. I will set a 2. I will set it 2 because I'd like to believe that at the end of that second season, there's enough sparkling moments where they say, all right, they're ready to go. At the very least, it's a playoff team next year if they make the moves and draft moves.
Yeah, this year, next year, and if it's I'd say, if I put this number, if it's like an 8-9, I'd accept that.
Yeah, because we can't put a non-losing season anymore.
Yeah, we can't have like 4-4-4. We can't have no 83 sixes. True. You gotta make some progress. So you got say this year we win 4 games. Then next year we may win 6, and then we win 8. Then that's how that will be more acceptable. You're building it up, because remember, when you have basically, you need more draft picks for this coming draft. You'll have a full allotment for 2024, and hopefully Pickett will be the quarterback you need to be by then, and then you may be able to challenge for the playoffs. But this team's bad. Like, this is not, well, we're just saying, I'm guaranteed this is not a 1 year. We'll be bad this year, but next year, oh, it ain't gonna be like that. This is a very, very flawed roster. High end talent can't save you. I think they may have been 1-4 with Watt.
It's hard not to say that.
Disagree. I mean, Patriots game, the Jets game, they could have won. I think if they had Watt, they would have won. They would have won if they started Pickett, and maybe if TJ Watt played, they would have beat the Jets. But
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I did say that if Pickett would have started that game, I think they would have won. But nothing you could do about it now. But the Bills just completely outclassed them. I mean, the Bills. I think they'll be in the Super Bowl this year, but still, 38-3 is just embarrassing. And like the Steelers look so flat, and as Ryan Clark said, they look like they gave up. So definitely one of the probably the worst Steelers game that I've ever seen. Obviously, it's the largest defeat since 1989.
Yeah,
I think it's
I'm gonna say look at a few tweets out here just to wrap it up, because I guess we still didn't get comments from this. I don't know why. There was 2 tweets that earlier from that, so I'll start with this. Kevin at Eno Rush 7874 said, "I only said none because I've seen enough of Tomlin. He's been here long enough, and we need an offensive head coach in an offensive league." FD Jones Jr. says, "Who cares about a winning season? I want playoff and Super Bowl wins. You're not going to get a playoff win if this team enters at anything, so you're better off just biting a bullet with that one, buddy." I mean, really, you can have a winning season every year and never get to the playoffs or Super Bowl. Yes, we've seen that before with this team. Not acceptable at all. So my question for you, FD Jones, is what is acceptable with this team as presently constructed? Is it making it to the playoffs and hoping that all the stars align with this roster at this moment? Because again, who knows? This is a crazy league, but it's not likely. I'm not expecting anything to walk through that door for us right now. So I look at it like this. All I want this organization is, I mean, Deontay Johnson, I guess, is trying to be honest right now because he's put it in the media for the last 2 weeks. But if this team is bad, tell me it's bad. If it's learning to win, tell me it's learning to win. Because I'm not in the mood for a Pittsburgh Pirates special in which you're trying to tell me this is a competing team when the roster and the prospects are inherently flawed outside of a token few. That's all for the Renegade Blitz. That's Chris Ward. That's Brandon Walker. This podcast for him was unaffiliated. And you have been listening to the Renegade Blitz.
Thank you for listening to the Renegade Blitz podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Renegade Blitz, at @RBlitzPod, and at Blitz Videos. Read articles on RenegadeBlitz.com, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app. The Renegade Blitz podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and wherever else you can listen to podcasts.